This will be the most important video you will see today. Please remember this day, August 24, 2023. Japan has officially started discharging nuclear-contaminated water into the Pacific Ocean, which will affect the destiny of all of humanity. Now, let me explain why. First, we need to understand two concepts. Here is the difference between nuclear wastewater and nuclear-contaminated water. The water being discharged by Japan is nuclear polluted water, containing a significant amount of high-concentration radioactive substances. Despite claims of dilution, the reliability of its testing methods is not fully established, and there has no compelling reason for the rest of the world to bear the consequences along with them. The following presentation is divided into 9 sections, and I'm going to use Chernobyl as a reference to make it easier to understand what happened in Fukushima. Chernobyl and Fukushima, both disaster zones of level 7 nuclear accidents. In Chernobyl, explosions rocked a reactor, blowing off the lid and exposing the core. Heat and radiation still burn today, requiring an iron sarcophagus to contain the radioactivity. Picture it as an unfinished nuclear explosion, not an iconic mushroom cloud. Surprisingly, nuclear power plants mishaps might be riskier than bomb blasts. Bombs burn once, releasing radiation with limits. Plant accidents, so talk of fuel, emitting radiation until it burns out. Fukushima's tale started with a tsunami and earthquake, no detonation. Yet reactor damage and core leakage mean ongoing heat and radiation. Mystery surrounds detail due to temple secrecy. Unlike Chernobyl's negligence, Fukushima's response lagged, with rescuers giving it their all. While Fukushima has fewer deaths, it unmasked our disaster reaction, survival over decisiveness, blame switching, and a dash of self-interest. Swift action might have cost more lives, but prevented the mess we are in now. Fukushima is located by the coast and has a continuous supply of seawater and groundwater that can be powered into the reactors to cool them down. This prevents reactor explosion or nuclear detonations. However, all the highly radioactive materials naturally dissolve in water, giving rise to nuclear-contaminated water. This is fundamentally different from the cooling water released during the normal operation of a nuclear power plant. The coolant that directly interacts with nuclear fuels, ropes, and reactor cores during plant operation needs to be solidified and buried deep, similar to nuclear waste. What's released is condensed water generated through secondary and multiple heat exchange after powering the turbine for electricity generation. In simple terms, the contaminated water in Fukushima is highly radioactive water used to cool down the reactors. The normal water released from the nuclear power plant is cooling water that passes through multiple heat exchanges after the reactor generates heat, without direct physical contact with the fuel ropes, and it undergoes multiple radiation isolations. The radiation levels, the type of radioactive substances contained, and their respective hazards between the two are vastly different. Discussing them together is entirely foolish, misleading, and possibly driven by ulterior motives. Fukushima introduced the ALPS system, claiming it can be filtered highly radioactive and contaminated water into standard release water. This filtration system has operated efficiently for over 30 years, removing over 60 types of highly radioactive elements to create safe water. From a standpoint of common sense, it's hard to believe in this system. Japan's technology isn't supernatural. The ocean discharge option is primarily a cost-saving measure. There are numerous alternative plans for safety and reliability, with cost differences vary by hundredfold. If the chosen solution is the lowest cost ocean discharge, then it's not driven by prioritizing safety and security. The two major concerns of Fukushima's water discharge are as follows. Releasing highly radioactive contaminated water into the ocean for such an extended period of time, around 30 years or even longer, raises questions about its impact on humanity. This is essentially a massive biomedical experiment conducted on the global population and marine environment, with irreversible consequences. It's possible that in 5 to 10 years, science might show minimal effects, but what if there's a catastrophic outcome? And it significantly lowers the standard for nuclear waste disposal. If Fukushima can discharge water in this manner, why would other nuclear power plants go through the trouble, effort, and expense of properly handling nuclear waste? Instead, it seems that everyone will choose for the simple solution of discharging waste into rivers, lakes, and seas if Fukushima is allowed to do so. All regions of China, including Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, as well as South Korea, has explicitly banned the import of products from Japan and even prohibited all food and feed from certain regions of Japan. IAEA's report relies primarily on samples from TEMPCO, with limited independent sampling, originally planning 3 precise assessments. Due to time constraints, they conducted 1 round assessment and issued the report. South Korea reported twice, finding the contamination exceeding limits by 20,000 times. IAEA staff admitted receiving sponsorship from Japan and disclosing preliminary report drafts. U.S. media reports suggest American experts questioned TEMPCO's understanding of radiation elements in storage tanks. Negative response. They also asked about the ALPS system's capacity to handle slug. Negative response, which tends to clog the filtration. The response was to continue filtering up to 300 times. Discussing safety without understanding radiation elements feels premature. Chinese Academy of Atomic Energy researcher Liu Zhenlin regretted IAEA's hasty release of a comprehensive report without consulting technical experts. The report was issued in the name of Director General Grossi. Expert opinions were merely for reference, adopted at the Secretariat's description. Further discussions weren't held before releasing it. Referencing Chinese experts agreeing with the report is inappropriate. The IAEA report compares data for over 20 radiation elements. Japan claims to filter over 60 types, leaving over 40 unaccounted for. This doesn't mean the remaining 40 types are risk-free. Standards lag behind reality. Japan hasn't fully identified the exact number, with around 60 identified by ALPS solutions. The IAEA did not support or recommend the Japanese government's decision. IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi explicitly states that the decision to discharge nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean was entirely Japanese government's choice. while a 140-page report released by the IAEA indicated that the detected harmful substances in the nuclear-contaminated water met the standards. Rumors have emerged that some members of the IAEA team faced limitations and restrictions from the Japanese side during a series of monitoring actions. Japan has successfully taken hostage the entire global population of 7 billion with its population of 100 million. Approximately 50 to 85% of Earth's oxygen is produced by marine plants and algae through photosynthesis. This process is crucial for maintaining oxygen levels in our atmosphere and supporting marine ecosystems. Injecting nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean undeniably placed the fate of all humanity on a forced gambling table. Furthermore, the Fukushima nuclear power plant's reactors have not been shut down since the accident occurred. The nuclear fuel rods continue to slowly sink with high temperatures, either penetrating the ocean or the Earth's mantle. Both scenarios will lead to nuclear radiation dispersion. The only resolution proposed is Russia's suggestion to detonate a hydrogen bomb in the Fukushima nuclear power plant area. As humans, we have the right and the duty to know the truth. Otherwise, the rewriting of all creatures in the entire natural world is irreversible. In 10 years, the oceans of the whole world will be contaminated. All foods, vegetables, and even the purest water resource will be tainted with nuclear pollution. Please do something. This matter concerns all of us.